Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. We are just going to wait for a few more minutes here for everyone to trickle in. Thank you for joining us. We are excited to talk with you here in a few. Thank you for the heads up that you can hear us. Michael. Glad to see the chat panel there is working. If y'all have questions as we go through today's content, please do feel free to ask us at any time. And we have some panelists in the background to be working to answer your questions. And if we can't get back to you right away, we will get back to you shortly after. And our conversation today will be recorded to provide back to you with the deck as well. Let's give everyone another minute here. Everyone top off your coffees, get a beverage, snack, and we'll join soon. Hello, everyone who's just joining us. We are just waiting for a few more moments here for everyone else to continue trickling in at the turn of the hour. So just bear with us another 60, 90 seconds or so, and we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, Michelle, just saw your question come on in. Good morning to you as well. We will share a PDF copy of our deck, and today's conversation will be recorded. So we look forward to sharing that with you here. And then any other subsequent questions that kind of come after this meeting, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to get you an answer as soon as possible. Just a few more seconds here, just giving everybody one more minute. Good afternoon to you as well, Carolyn. All right. Isha, Hitesh, y'all ready? I think we have some people flowing in and we should be good to get started. Perfect.
Let's kick it off.
All right. Let's see. All right, well, just kicking us off here, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on IT service intelligence and correlated network visibility. In this session, we will be diving deep into how integrating network telemetry can help streamline your troubleshooting, significantly enhance service delivery, and really empower your teams with actionable insights. Hopefully, by the end of this webinar, you will leave with a clear understanding of how we can help positively impact your situation with some great takeaways. This is a forward-looking statement. Please do not make any purchasing decisions off of what we share with you today, but we welcome any and all questions afterwards and would love to help you at a later date. Moving on to our presenters today, my name is Connor Ty, but I'm going to go ahead and allow Isha and Hitesh to go ahead and introduce themselves first. Isha, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. My name's Isha Gandhi. I am a product manager on the ITSI team. I'm seeing some familiar customers, some familiar faces joining. So thanks for taking the time out today. Looking forward to walking you through all the good content around network integrations that we have coming up. And I will hand it off to Hitesh.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Hitesh. I am a product manager here at Splunk working on ITSI with Isha and Connor. Looking forward to sharing this content. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. And again, I'm Connor Ty. I am overseeing our product marketing over observability here at Splunk. I've been at Splunk about 4 years, going into my 5th year, and I'm happy to be here with y'all. We'll go ahead and get started by covering our agenda. You can go to the next slide. All right. So we will start off our discussion today by covering the importance of network observability and share some insight on really on how demand has helped shape the need to deal with complexity in new ways. And then we'll dive into some of the main components of taking that correlation to the next level with more context into your service-related degradation and any business impact to help you enable faster root cause analysis. And then, of course, with some context in mind, we can go ahead and dive into how we can achieve faster root cause analysis, as well as make it easier to identify if there's a slowness in an application or a degraded user experience, and if that is related to underlying network or bad application code, all in the context of your most critical IT and business services. And then afterwards, we will wrap up with some Q&A. I've said it a few times now, but if you do have questions, please pop them in the chat and we will try to answer them on the fly. And if not, we will get back to you at the very end. And so with that, we will get diving in. All right. On to the importance of network observability. There's changing and growing importance all around this. We know that complexity is a challenge, and that a lot of vendors are really adding to this problem, and as well as trying to solve it. So hopefully this blueprint maybe looks a little familiar to some of you. We think that Cisco has a real chance at providing the visibility that customers need to overcome some of these complexities. And when a problem occurs today in complex hybrid technology environments, it is often so difficult to tell exactly where the problem is or even the root cause. And hopefully there's a lot of heads shaking digitally in agreement. Yes. There are devices and endpoints as well as network infrastructure, whether it's owned or unowned, and all of your applications that could be third party or homegrown in your data center or in the cloud. And these form your digital footprint. This complex digital landscape has tons of potential risks, tons of vulnerabilities, and that could bring down an employee experience. So from an internet outage that takes out a customer-facing app or DDoS attack, attacking latency or other increased threat vectors impacting interconnected systems and failure points. Organizations have to navigate this, and in order to do so, they have to really increase their agility and reliability of their systems. So it's difficult, and many of you are making progress, yes, but if we can go to the next slide. The last mile, as we know, is often always the hardest, and it's often where customers get stuck the most. Even when applications are running smoothly and the infrastructure looks healthy, Cisco tools might be showing green lights in a data center, and the code is performing well in the cloud, but users are still having issues. So why is that? And if we go to the next slide, and that's because the last stretch, that path from the end user to the app it's simply where blind spots just live, right? This begs the question, what's slowing you down? Well, first off, in my personal experience, and more often than not, this is due to visibility gaps. Most teams they're flying blind when it comes to connecting their apps and infrastructure and network performance. And these disjointed tools out there often make it hard to pinpoint where the real problem is. And is it the app? Is it the network? Is this a third-party provider? How do we solve these problems and how do we collaborate on them? Are we all looking at the same information? Second, it's directly related to reactive troubleshooting as well, which is part of visibility gaps, but really comes down to without this end-to-end visibility, teams just simply spend more time chasing symptoms rather than solving problems. And every outage or slowdown really becomes a fire drill to put out because there's these duplicative efforts, there's toil, there's this fatigue associated with it, and it's impacting your services. The third reason that's slowing us down often, and more often than not, is the war room chaos. Without shared context, without more information, we're all looking at the same common work surface. It just really turns into blame games with everyone looking at different data and no one really agreeing what's going on. So when these three things come together, this just gets so much worse when something changes in front of you in real time. Like when an ISP suddenly redirects traffic or a CDN fails, that's the last mile here, right? Without the full visibility, and this impairs the decision making, and it comes from this lack of contextual insight that hampers our strategic business operations, and it's where digital experiences fall apart. So I'll pause there for a moment. If anyone has questions, please bring them in. I covered a lot of background, really just trying to give you guys a day in the life of what we're coming to talk about here. So now I'll turn it over to Hitesh, and we can share how these approaches or how we approach these challenges to help our customers drive truly unique outcomes.
Thanks, Connor, for that background. Let's start with the direction that we're moving in terms of integrating with Cisco domain controllers. With some of these integrations already existing with Splunk today, we're going to talk about. In addition to these Cisco controllers, with Splunk, customers can ingest process telemetry from any other third-party network data sources as well. To deliver more on network observability use cases, we actually can focus on a couple of different ones that you can achieve with Splunk. Number one is network performance monitoring. And number two is understanding the network to app and infrastructure dependencies. How is my application and my infrastructure all working together? And then finally, understanding the network impact in the context of the business through service health monitoring. So we offer all of this through our observability portfolio. And as I talk through the observability portfolio, I just want to remind everyone that this session is focused on IT service intelligence, which is an application that's built on top of the core Splunk platform to offer the alert noise reduction as well as service monitoring and business context. Next slide, please. So overall, here's all the components of what Splunk observability really consists of. The foundation of this portfolio is the Splunk platform, as I had mentioned before, which includes Splunk Enterprise and Splunk Cloud, and provides an underlying layer for log analytics, data management, and identity. At the application, infrastructure, and user experience layer, we have App Dynamics, which is optimized for 3-tier and N-tier applications and environments. And on the observability cloud layer, cloud side, we have this optimized for cloud native environments and really caters to customers who have a very strict requirement for open telemetry. Next slide, please. Now, all of these is tied together in terms of the components with Splunk ITSI, which is sitting on top of the Splunk platform, as I had mentioned before. ITSI serves as an intelligent layer targeted at IT operations teams, which brings together the business service monitoring and event analytics, which is the alert noise reduction, coupled with some powerful AI and ML capabilities. ITSI ingests alert data from various sources and helps monitor these services by tying the health of your IT environment to your business. Next slide.
Awesome. So great. Hopefully that helped just get an overview, of what the observability portfolio consists of, what Splunk generally is solving for network observability, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about how we solve for this in IT service intelligence. So to just start with, wanted to give you a picture of what our roadmap looks like and where we are today in the process. When we talk about networking integrations, the fundamental capability that we need is to first send the data that's required from these different domain controllers into Splunk, right? For visualization, for correlation, and just visibility into what's going on across the different domain controllers. So that consists of like ThousandEyes, which is one tool that we have already integrated with, and we'll see more about what that integration looks like in ITSI. And then currently what's in process is Catalyst Center and Meraki, which are the tool domain controllers we're integrating with for branch and campus monitoring. Fast followers after that are going to be ACI Nexus dashboards, and then SD-WAN primarily focused again around data center monitoring and just SD-WAN level visibility as well. So when we're pulling in data, it can consist of different types of course, data structures, but primarily we're talking about alerts, metrics, and general events or logs that are coming in, right? These can be syslogs that are being pulled in, whether from third-party sources or these tools themselves. What ITSI needs to operate out of the box are the alerts and metrics to basically give you all of the relevant insights and the content that you need to start getting that cross-domain network visibility. So all of this data will be ingested first into Splunk. It gets indexed there and it is stored in the Splunk platform layers, after which ITSI utilizes that data to give you more aggregated context to help you align all of this data into your business services and service context. And also, as Hitesh mentioned, do event correlation to aggregate related alerts together. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to call out how these objects kind of change from the time they're indexed as raw data into Splunk and how ITSI can kind of help transform that into more knowledge or more context to actually help you troubleshoot these issues faster. So before we move forward, one quick check that we just wanted to do with all of you. If you have a second, if you have your phones handy or your laptop, wherever you're watching this, we are really curious to understand which are the different Cisco domain controllers you're using today, just to get a sense of, which integrations you're going to be the most excited about. So if you can just take a second to answer this poll, that will be great. And I will be quiet for a couple of minutes just to see these answers coming in. Okay, great. So we're seeing a lot of Meraki and a lot of Thousand Eyes, which is fantastic. There's also some Catalyst Center. Surprisingly, no Intersight and Exidian users. This is great information. We'll give it another maybe 30 seconds or so before we move forward. And I also see kind of general information about the deployment of Splunk that's come in. So just to clarify, Splunk can be deployed on premise as well as in your cloud environment. So whether you want to use AWS, whether you want to host it on GCP, Azure, it is supported. And of course, there's two modes. One is where you're managing the Splunk deployment on your cloud environment, or we also offer Splunk Cloud, which is Splunk managed essentially, and again, across multiple cloud providers too. So it's really very flexible on how you want to manage Splunk and deploy it in your org. Okay, fantastic. So looks like we had about 20 folks answer, but it does definitely seem like Meraki is kind of the biggest source here that's of interest. So that's very good to know. And of course, Thousand Eyes as well, which we're going to be talking about shortly. So before we get into the details, I think we wanted to level set a little bit on what we actually mean when we say correlated network observability, right? What does that actually entail in ITSI? So first, let's talk about, what it actually is meant to deliver. First is around providing you insights across domains. So like as customers have mentioned, they often have blind spots given that, your enterprise can get so big. There are different teams monitoring different parts of the technology stack and environment. And oftentimes it's very difficult to get kind of a common picture of what part is going to impact your business. So whether you're getting, the networking teams are going to be using their networking tools, application performance monitoring has their own set of observability tools, infrastructure, and then of course, there are different kinds of tools available for synthetic testing and monitoring the overall user experience. So what correlated network observability means is, in addition to already giving you insight across application, infrastructure, and users, we're adding in that networking visibility as well to now help understand how network might have an impact on your application, on your infrastructure, and so on. And we're doing that by dynamically correlating KPIs. These are just key performance indicators, metrics that are based in ITSI and monitored more dynamically, as well as correlating alerts that these different tools generate, right? So if you are getting some alerts coming out of Meraki and some alerts coming out of your application performance monitoring tool that are both pointing to a degraded app experience because somebody is not able to check out because there's an issue with Wi-Fi, that's the kind of insight that you'll help understand, help get, and how those things are basically associated to each other. And again, all of this is very much in the context of business because it's important for us to capture the fact that when there are these different issues that can take place, how is that actually affecting the top line? Is it a significant enough issue for somebody to actually spend cycles looking into? Or, is it kind of a minor problem that can be put off for another time, right? So what that leads us to in terms of value is, again, unified visibility across your owned and unowned networks, and also just more proactive problem detection across these different monitoring sources as well. And ultimately, it helps with domain isolation, which is going to lead to just faster root cause analysis, faster incident response. So who should actually care about this? Who are we building this for? It is going to be one, your hands-on keys, network NetOps teams or NOCs who are going to be troubleshooting when network-related issues come up, right? And this is primarily for L1, L2s. Again, because your deep domain level troubleshooting can still happen in the controllers. So we will give that initial insight into, is this a network issue? Is this an app issue? And then let the triaging happen and the next steps be taken from there. Managers, of course, care, right? Because they want to know, what has our incident response process looked like? Are we improving over time? Are we able to respond to customer issues faster? So all of those relevant stakeholders are also a part of, who we're kind of building this experience for. So hopefully that gives kind of a high level. And now let's talk about what the actual components are that we're going to deliver through ITSI to help you get that visibility. So as we mentioned, ITSI has, two key use cases that you should keep in mind. One is around alert correlation and alert noise reduction. So that aggregates alerts into incidents or episodes that you can then, react to and take action on, whether it's in an automated manner or whether it's a manual reaction. The other use case is around cross-domain service analytics and business service monitoring. So this is the overall service topology that comes together to help you understand how different parts of your technology environment might be related and how they can have an impact on the business. So when we're delivering the actual components, we are providing you out of the box value with what we call content packs. So these are nothing but just prepackaged, applications that come free with ITSI to help you get started quickly and just see value from different integrations, right? So if Meraki is of interest or Catalyst Center is of interest, there are going to be dedicated content packs that you can work with to actually get insights into those and integrate with those and so on. So the first of what these content packs deliver is alert onboarding. So when you're bringing in alerts from these third-party tools, it's important to make sure that your data is standardized, right? We cannot, it's going to be difficult to get value if your schemas are completely different and there's no normalized / standardized way of bringing that data into Splunk. So instead of, putting that responsibility on the customer, we offer those normalizations out of the box. So it's as simple as, you sending that data into Splunk, and we handle the transformation with these alert integrations that bring the alert data into kind of the context that we need to correlate them out of the box as well. And that brings me to the next point, the actual correlation. So with these integrations where we have pre-built kind of correlation rules that will aggregate these alerts across sources and, give you the episodes or incidents that can then be used for ticketing and so on. So that rather than users reacting to, individual alerts that are originating from the different controllers, you now have a more impact-oriented view that can then be taken at, and of course, a much smaller volume that you're reacting to than the individual alerts themselves. The other element of what we're delivering are the service KPI and entity models. So this is very important for the overall service level visibility in ITSI, because at the highest level, you have your services, and then underpinning those services, what is actually used to reflect the health of a service are KPIs and entities, like the actual, components that you're taking measurements from, and then also the aggregate level KPIs. So all of this is bundled for you and provided out of the box. So there is no kind of manual, constructs that you have to build out in determining how you want to create those services and model them out. And we'll see all of this in a demo in just a second, but that is just to say you can get started with service monitoring through these content packs as well. And of course, you're not going to get every bit of information that you need to maybe complete out your workflow. Oftentimes, the network experts and network engineers will want to work in the tools that they're comfortable with. So what we include are directed troubleshooting and deep links to help you get back into the source tools in context and do the troubleshooting from there, as opposed to, having to pull everything together in ITSI and maybe just, forcing users to work in tools that they're not familiar with. Last but not least, we're also delivering some executive level dashboards that help you get an overall sense of how, the network environment is looking, how it has impacted your business objectives in the past. Is everything healthy? If it's not, are people already taking action, right? So it's just to give you an overall picture. And from there, you can, of course, drill into the service topology and everything like that to get more insights and actually do the troubleshooting. Okay, I think we've taken you through enough slides for a second, so let's jump over into the demo so we can actually talk you through what's available. And as I do that, one thing that I quickly actually wanted to call out is there are going to be 3 things that we'll look at in the demo, and each of those is pictured on this diagram here. So first is the integration with ThousandEyes. Now, what is required for all of this data to come into Splunk are what we call technical add-ons. These are, again, just mini apps that help you bring in the data that communicate with those external tools. And through APIs, or through push-based mechanisms, they will bring in the data and they will normalize the data to help Splunk understand what is there in that data. So for each of these domain controllers, there is a respective add-on that you can work with and pull that data into Splunk Core already. And so when we go into the demo, just kind of keep that in mind, that the data has arrived, and through these different add-ons, whether we're talking about Meraki, Catalyst Center, or ThousandEyes, and then the ITSI content packs are built using the data from the technical add-ons. So it should be fairly quickly, you don't have to worry too much about data wrangling, any sort of normalization that will happen out of the box as long as these respective add-ons are used. Okay, so now we'll actually go into the demo. All right, so hopefully you're able to see my screen. And again, I'm assuming there's a mix of folks who are very familiar with ITSI on the call and some who are very new to it. So I'm also just going to share a little bit of context around what we're looking at and how the troubleshooting workflow would actually look in ITSI. What we're seeing here is what we call the service analyzer, which shows the service topology in ITSI. And in this example, we're actually bringing together insights from multiple different tools, which include App Dynamics, ThousandEyes, Catalyst Center, Meraki, and also Splunk Observability Cloud, to help paint the picture of how you can use a bunch of different tools but still get a cohesive picture on the important parts of your environment and understand the impact to business, right? So this is kind of the holy grail picture where it all comes together for customers, and they're able to understand when any part of the network, the infrastructure, the application goes down, how is that going to have an impact, or is it going to have an impact? So we have here just a fictitious boutique company that we're looking at, and there are 2 parts that we're monitoring. We're looking at our online business, and we're looking at our store business, like our physical in-store operations. So our online, of course, has our mobile app experience and boutique website, and the boutique website is monitored in part by ThousandEyes, which is monitoring, our digital customer experience, and then App Dynamics, which is actually looking at our backend systems, our applications, to help understand, are users able to successfully pay? Can they check out? Are all the applications kind of in order? And the way these colors are derived, which are of course indicating the health, are through different sorts of KPIs. So if we're looking at ThousandEyes, we're able to see that there are multiple KPIs like loss, latency, jitter, which are of course very important aspects to measure, and also the active alerts count that is, being assessed from ThousandEyes. So we're deriving the severity of these KPIs either using static thresholding or using dynamic thresholding, which helps identify anomalies in these metrics in the environment, so that you don't have to do everything in ThousandEyes. There can be some aspects that are monitored directly in ITSI as well. And here we can see that there is some issue with loss, and clicking in actually takes you into the individual tests in ThousandEyes that are failing to help you get more insights into, what's going on and why that might be the case. Now, the other part of what we build out are what we call entity dashboards, which basically give you insights into the individual tests. So in this case, when we're looking at ThousandEyes, we can see just at a high level, related to this particular HTTP test, what are the relevant metrics? So has our latency increased? And here we can see that, the agent based in San Jose, there has been a spike in the network latency and similarly also loss. So this helps you gather some initial context and data before you jump into ThousandEyes. But from that point on, as I mentioned, we do have these direct drill downs that will take you into the source tool to get more details. And I am not logged in here at the moment, but if I was, you would log in directly into the test over there. So this is just the initial flow, right? And you will see something very similar whether you are clicking into Catalyst Center, which is, again, monitoring our different store locations. In this case, we just have the San Jose store. And that is broken down by, again, your access layer, your distribution layer, and your core layer, so that you can immediately identify where are, the problems originating from. And again, clicking in will help isolate where specifically things are going wrong, right? So in this case, it's a specific location or like a floor that you can look at for more details as well. Now, one question that we typically get from customers, right, stepping back a little bit, is when I'm looking at this topology overall, I'm seeing a bunch of red. So where do I even know, how do I know where the issues are originating from? How do I pick up my investigation, right? So we have a feature that we call service impact analysis, which traverses through the service topology for you and comes up with a ranked list of things that are most likely to have caused this overall degradation. So right now we're looking at boutique company, and if we run service impact analysis on it, it will help us identify which service, which KPI we should start with, right? So it's identified that there is actually an issue in the access layer in my San Jose store. And if I click further, then it's going to point me to the specific store location that I need to go into for more details. Now that brings us to an overall site health, right? This is going to aggregate and show me what is the health of the current network, what is, the just CPU memory metrics, and give me a breakdown of which those exact devices are that are failing that I need to look into more details. So here we can see immediately that there is one particular access device, access switch that is failing. And from this point on, I can jump in directly into Catalyst Center and get more insight and do actual root cause analysis and take action on the failing device or failing switch, right? So as you can see, it's brought me into that specific switch, and I can look into more details here to figure out what went wrong and essentially just take action from here. So that is kind of how these end-to-end integrations are working across the different domains. Similarly, for Meraki, there are different KPIs that we're going to look at, which are assessing configuration issues, which are going to look at connectivity issues, and then also just device health overall as well. So this is one view that we just took a look at, and this is all around services. Now, let's talk about how this would flow into the actual incident management, incident response, and event analytics workflow, right? So from here, I'm going to go into alerts and episodes, and this is going to show us the actual incident console that you can expect a lot of users to work in, right? So for a lot of our customers, typically the NOC or the IT operations command center will all be working through these specific issues one by one as they get created. And here we can also see that these are essentially grouped alerts. So what we're looking at are individual episodes, and they have been aggregated across different sources into episodes. This particular one has over 300 alerts that got aggregated together. And we see that it's impacting the boutique website, right? This was a very similar picture to what we saw in the service topology as well, which is one source that we actually use to enrich incident information when episodes are getting created. And I'm using episode incidents interchangeably. We call them episodes within ITSI, but I know, other vendors and just generally in the industry, a lot of times customers know them to be incidents as well. So in this case, as I mentioned, we see that there's been an impact to the boutique website. And we can start by seeing the impacted services that to help kind of isolate where are the issues happening, what is going wrong, and so on. So we see there's an impact to the payment service that, checkouts are potentially failing as well. There are some network layer issues that are originating from Thousand Eyes that are being seen, and this is all specifically concentrated to one location where, in one store where users are probably facing the most issues. So these impacted services and entities are what help you figure out and really isolate what the impact is concentrated to. If there is a business service that's getting impacted as a result, all of that will populate here and help your users kind of quickly decide what they need to focus on, right? As you can see, there's almost like 60 episodes here in this view. So for them to figure out which are the most important, this is one key element that they need to look at to really prioritize where to start their investigation and what potential impacts could be. The other thing that you'll probably notice here as well is that as soon as the episode was created, we were able to dynamically generate tickets and also an on-call incident that can be used to notify the users who need to come in and investigate this. Again, depending on whoever you're using for ticketing as your ITSM provider, the ServiceNow incident is just one example, but this ticket has been created and now it will stay bidirectionally in sync. So as somebody's actually troubleshooting, looking into the ticket, making updates, ITSI will stay in sync and update, the status of that episode as well. So you kind of have almost like an automated incident lifecycle management without having to, go in and make those configurations yourself or manually update the incident information. So let's take a look at kind of what the different events were in this case that actually got aggregated together. Just to give you a sense of when we say cross-domain correlation, what that actually means, right? So we see that there are some alerts that came in, again, from Thousand Eyes lost KPIs, which were excessively high. There are some that are showing us that, there are issues in the payment service, which our APM tools are monitoring. And then we also have an alert that's come in from Catalyst Center that's showing us there's a high memory issue on a particular access switch. Also, in this case, App Dynamics, again, in your case, it would probably be one or the other observability tool, but this is the kind of correlation that, ITSI is able to do and pull together. And if we group them by entity, we'll be able to see what the different components actually are, right? So whether those are tests, whether that is a store location, a particular floor, or an application that was failed, this entity level view helps you understand across all the domains what were the different failure points. And you can also see where the issues first started. What was the first thing that kind of kicked off the series of events? And this can really help kind of accelerate root cause analysis as well. Now, the last thing I just want to point out here is through this integration, again, as we were talking about contextual drill downs, you can click in directly into these events and get down into the source tool as well and get more insights there. So if we wanted to go into this particular location, again, I would be taken into Catalyst Center in view of that specific device. And I can complete kind of troubleshooting there and take, automated actions to remediate the issue. So the last thing I'll point out on this in terms of how we can help accelerate the actual, time to react to issues is through similar episodes. So this is one area where ITSI uses machine learning to figure out if there were historically similar incidents that took place and what were the reactions that, what were the actions that users took on those issues so that you can almost fast track your investigation, right? So in this case, we see that there is an 80% match, right? Boutique website had been impacted in the past with very similar kinds of alerts. And this was the specific ticket that was worked on. So if users can kind of almost follow the resolution steps and notes that were contained in there, it will just help speed up their investigation as opposed to doing everything from scratch all over again. So this is kind of how everything will come together in ITSI. Now, one thing that I want to mention is when you are integrating, let's say you install the content packs, right? And you want to get started, you want to integrate with Meraki or you want to integrate with Catalyst Center. How it would work is through what we call service topology import, where you would be able to import your site information or your network information from Meraki into ITSI. And the rest of these KPIs that you're seeing here would actually be populated for you out of the box so that you don't have to do any additional configuration, right? So that's one capability just to be aware of and to help you understand how simple it can be to actually kick off this integration. This is not something entirely custom that you would have to start with. That topology can be brought in and then of course extended and customized as you need in the future as well. Okay, so with that, let's come back to our demo here, our slides. So to quickly just recap, right, what the different things were that we saw in the demo. I know it's probably a lot of information for those of you who haven't seen ITSI, and we're always happy to get some more time with you if you're interested in more details. But the first thing that is already available today is the ITSI and Thousand Eyes integration. What that actually comes with in terms of the content packs are a breakdown of services by DNS, network, web layer, and routing tests types that are, again, underpinned by those KPIs that we just saw, latency, loss, jitter, and you can use those to just, they are already pre-configured, set for you already. You'll start seeing alerts as soon as you install the content pack, and you'll start seeing when things are unhealthy, right? So those can be installed today, and there's kind of nothing additional that you would need to do on that front. In addition to that, we also looked at the alerting, right? So when you install the Thousand Eyes content pack, there is also an alerting integration that comes with it that handles the alert normalization for you to start seeing those episodes that we saw in episode review just now as well. And then each of those entity overview dashboards that we went into where we were seeing additional metrics, details, right, that in this case that had impacted the retail customer, all of that can be viewed in context as well. And of course, the direct drill down links, which will come out of the box too. One other thing that I just quickly wanted to mention that is coming up soon, and I know has a bunch of existing ITSI customers pretty excited, is the bidirectional integration with Thousand Eyes. What this is going to mean is, in addition to you seeing Thousand Eyes insights in ITSI, you will also be able to see issues that are originating from Thousand Eyes tests, maybe that are being found in ITSI, be exposed directly in ITSI also. So you would be able to essentially see ITSI incidents in context of a test in Thousand Eyes, and again, get a deep link back into ITSI where you might want to do additional troubleshooting, right? If the issue is not actually like a network issue, but if it's coming, let's say, from your application, ITSI would help you get there. And so Thousand Eyes will give you that launch off point. So if you are somebody who wants to only investigate or do troubleshooting in Thousand Eyes, you can use that information to jump in from Thousand Eyes into ITSI as well. I can do a quick showcase of that here, where right now we're looking again at the HTTP server test for boutique store. And here I'll see that there are some episodes that have been created in ITSI from this particular test. So if I want to, get more detail into that, I can basically click in to those that area there and get more insights on what's going on in ITSI. So here in the Splunk ITSI tab, I'll see that there are some related episodes that were created, and launching off from here into ITSI will take me right back to that boutique website incident where I can get, more context, more information, and actually do troubleshooting. So we'll kind of keep you informed, irrespective of where you are across these products, and keep getting you insights. Okay, so now to talk about what we saw with relation to Catalyst Center and Meraki in the product as well. The content packs for those two are currently in preview, so if there is any interest, we'll have some links for you at the end. Please sign up and we can see whether we can get you a working version of that, just to get exposed to how that content is going to work. What that's going to come with is out-of-the-box topology to measure health of your location. So whether, for retail customers, that might be a store, warehouses, it can be office locations, anything like that, and help you isolate what the problematic devices are before you go into the controllers for more detailed root cause analysis. Similarly, it's also going to come with the alert onboarding, deduplication, and correlation logic. And all of that you can kind of get started with just, a few clicks as well. And it will also have insights for actual troubleshooting. So what we didn't see, but is available with Meraki were there any recent configuration changes that took place on the device, right, that could have led to these issues to have been created? Those relevant sort of details that you can do some initial, context gathering with, all of that is going to be available in the form of an entity overview dashboard in ITSI. And just like we saw with Thousand Eyes in the demo, it will all have just, in context, drill down links into the source tools for you to kind of close out your investigations as well. So I know the demo that we looked at, right, was very retail oriented, but I think one thing we just wanted to call out was this can work for any other use case, any other industry just as much. So if we're talking about manufacturing, right, when your production slows down, we can kind of connect catalyst switch congestion or port issues with alerts from factory systems, right, to help you identify which sites or which part of the factory floor might actually be impacted and what's going on there. In financial services, it can be if a banking kiosk kind of goes offline, can we correlate that to Meraki port issues or Thousand Eyes test failures, and really just use that to ensure that our branch uptime, ATM uptime is all looking good. And for service providers as well, before a tenant actually, reports a degraded service, we can correlate kind of drops or excessive resource issues on shared infrastructure to help isolate, right, the fault domain quickly and ensure that you're able to preserve the SLAs that you've kind of promised to clients. So this is just, to give you a sense, with these existing integrations today, there are just a multitude of use cases that you could get started with. And we can always, share more insights there as well, if that's of interest. So tangibly to just start with how you can kick it off today, right? If this was enough for you to say, I want to start, I want to play around and see what I have available, just to give you a more concrete, go forward plan. So as I mentioned, the ITSI content packs work all with the different add-ons and apps in Splunk. So for each controller or each domain tool that you want to integrate with, there are different technical add-ons that you can get started with. So step one would be to identify those, and we've listed those out here. So if you're using ThousandEyes, there is the Cisco ThousandEyes app and add-on that you can start with. That will take care of both the data ingestion to bring in, test metrics and just agent insights into Splunk, but it will also provide you some out-of-the-box visualizations as part of Splunk platform, so you can just get some, visibility into the different tests, endpoint agents, and so on, and do some high-level troubleshooting there. For Catalyst Center and for Meraki, so for Catalyst Center, there is the Cisco Catalyst add-on for Splunk. That will help take care of the data ingestion specifically. But if on top of that, you're looking to get some additional visualizations and dashboards, there is also the Cisco Enterprise Networking app for Splunk platform, which you can install and get started with, which will give you different insights into, device inventory, into device health issues, and just, more kind of, again, troubleshooting and health related insights there. And lastly, for Meraki, again, the Meraki add-on for Splunk will take care of both the getting data in as well as some visualizations, whether you want to look across, like Wi-Fi issues, camera issues, sensor problems, all of that is going to be combined in that app as well. And then once you're ready to, let's say, actually tackle the correlation layer, that's where ITSI will come in. So what we have for ITSI today is the ThousandEyes content pack, which is working very tightly with the ThousandEyes app. And that can help with, as we saw, in the slides before, it'll help normalize the data that ITSI needs. It will help bring context to services so that you're able to monitor the different tests in context of, your applications or your business services. And then you can kind of get started using just that. For Catalyst Center, for Meraki, we are actually launching one joint content pack called the Enterprise Networks content pack, where you can get both essentially. And for that, the sign up page is linked here, but if you go on voc.splunk.com, you should be able to see the Enterprise Networks content pack preview. You sign up there, we will absolutely look through and get back and, see if you would like to participate and give us feedback for preview. And of course, once you have these, you're able to use the content packs to import service topology, site topology, networks, and get the rest of the KPI entity models pre-populated, dashboards, and perform alert correlations. So these are kind of the immediate next steps we would recommend. But of course, please direct any other questions that you have, any concerns. We would love to, hear more. And I think just to kind of close this out, we just wanted to call out, right, why Splunk is the right tool for this. Of course, there's many other vendors around that offer to do the same thing, but you have one source where you can bring in any sort of unstructured, structured data and really make sense out of it. And that flexible data access is one very important aspect for how, Splunk is able to differentiate. And of course, we also have, just endless possibilities in terms of how you can visualize that data for different personas, how you can use MLAI to actually accelerate identifying issues, reacting to issues, and just overall getting like enhanced visibility across, all of these different controllers, these different tools, and really mitigate the issue of tool sprawl that a lot of customers have to face today. So with that, just, last thing to point out, some key resources here. Again, you will be getting the PDF and more details on the different links that we're sharing as part of these slides, but just something to be on the lookout for. And I think we're now then ready for Q&A. So we'll look through. I know a lot of chat activity has happened, and there are so many questions that came up, but let's see if there are any that haven't been answered yet that we want to tackle live. Connor, is there anything you see?
Yeah, so we definitely have some asks coming in on if we get a Thousand Eyes content pack and ITSI demo. And so love that everyone is interested in that. We might have to schedule more time for that today just because of the time we do have. But let's please connect after this and we can definitely get together for, whether it's a quick powwow to show that to you or a longer conversation with your team. Let's see, let me go through some of the other questions here. Isha, if you do know, great question from Naresh. Do we have a two-way integration for ServiceNow's event management? I know we have very robust integration with ServiceNow for automated service ticketing, things like that, but I am not up to speed in this exact moment on what we do with their event management system for incident creation. Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think, Naresh, we would love to understand what specifically you would be looking to get in. We are able to pull in a lot of information from ServiceNow ITOM as well as, CMDB, ITSM. And so depending on what sort of information you're looking to get, there should be the ability to pull that into Splunk. If you would like, you can check out the ServiceNow technical add-on, which again, is kind of the tool that handles the communication between ServiceNow and Splunk, and it should have all of the relevant information for you. But of course, if anything is still open in terms of you not being sure what specific information can be brought in or not, please feel free to reach out and specify.
Thanks, Isha. That was a much more in-depth answer than I had really for y'all. Just lumping in a couple of answers together here. Mohammed asked, I see most of these integrations are with Cisco products, but is it going to give the same value from topology, metrics, and events from other vendors like SolarWinds, OpenText Dynatrace, Elk, BMC? And the answer is yes, absolutely. This is a cross-domain visibility tool powered by AI and machine learning to really giving you that strong event intelligence, if not the best in the market. So we play very well with our other observability tools to complement their data, as well as helping you all react and drive more action and insight. And so this also takes into account Brandon's question. Mr. Brandon Cummings, you said, would this correlate Windows event logs with any content packs as well? And yes, absolutely. So we have so many content packs for a variety of use cases, whether that's something specific to IT or services or just alerts and consolidating that or prioritizing. So yes, correlating that Windows event log data is going to be taken into account with the content packs, and that can be correlated with a specific environment or all of your environments. And flowing that question into this other one, sorry, where is it? It's flowing away from me. If an episode has multiple events, which event is more critical? Or is it going to be a PRC event? So definitely getting a little bit more context on PRC, but I believe that's a device. And so just if your episode has multiple events, and how do you know which one's going to be the most critical? Well, we actually, part of our wonderful AI logic here is that we can set a service health score and provide a severity based on our highly flexible and elastic KPIs to help define and add business context and enrichment to help us prioritize these incidents, whether that's based on service impact or business impact or a variety. That is also something that you can help fine tune to make to your liking or other executive stakeholders. So that way, maybe you're working on stuff that is directly associated with your boss's KPIs compared to the wider business KPIs or something like that. So it can get very granular in that sense. I don't see the content pack in ITSI data integrations. Let me see here. Some questions. If y'all see one that is good, please jump in there. But I want to make sure that there was a number of licensing questions as well. I'm going to follow up with a number of you with the specifics on how we go about our licensing, but just keeping it simple. This is ingestion-based licensing. ITSI is a separate licensing cost. It would be licensed through, or data would be ingested through our platform, and then the separate cost would be for ITSI because it is a separate product executing a separate, outcome. And so with that licensing, that network component it's going to be based off the different network components for how that ingestion is done. I don't have all the specifics for you for like, hey, this device is this, or the switch is this, and this routers, and this is how we're categorizing those costs. But I do have some content that I can share back with you after this, and so I just don't want to overpromise anything here because I know some of those are currently underway now. We do have some things in preview that are we can't wait to share with you, but those are going to be exciting as well. So I don't really know off the top of my head all the network components I can share based on ingestion for licensing.
Speaking of preview, I think there's a question around when can we expect all of the available GA mentioned integrations. So all the integrations that we had shared, some of those are in progress, and they're also asking if we can share their roadmap.
Yeah, so I think for roadmap questions, if that's of interest to you, please definitely reach out to your account team so they can set that up. There is a lot more than this that we would actually like to share with you in terms of what's coming up in the next ITSI releases. But as far as when the Catalyst Center and Meraki content should be out is, I want to say in the second half of this year in general. So without unfortunately divulging exact timelines because we're not allowed to, it's going to be fairly soon in the next 3 or so months. So keep an eye out for that. And again, for just specific roadmap asks, we would love to get on a call with you and just take you through what's coming up. It will actually help answer a lot of questions around AI also that we are getting. So please reach out.
Yeah. Do we have any time for any more questions right here, guys? Or I think we're about at the hour. We'll sit on for any more trickling in questions here, but I know we are at time. A couple things I'll answer as everyone is getting off the plane here. Peter has asked, you mentioned glass tables. How is that used together with service trees, and can we demo it? Well, Peter, we're going to have to book more time to show you how glass tables are worked together with service trees, but Isha, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to take a stab?
I think I will just add, I think that's a really great question. And how we've predominantly seen glass tables being helpful is one layer further up than even service trees. So using glass tables to help get a very high level aggregate view and even like maybe a more context oriented view. So let's say you're just trying to monitor everything by location. A glass table could have something like your map of all of your different sites, stores, and a breakdown by what the top level issues are, what the overall performance has been, what SLAs are looking like, just high level metrics. And then when something on the glass table goes red, you click in and you're able to get down to the service analyzer, which will help you understand where in the service topology are there actually issues that are being seen. So this becomes really relevant when you have scaled to thousands of services, because you will not want to see everything just as a service bubble. You might want some additional details related to those services, related metrics, insights, and so on. So that's usually how we've seen glass tables successfully adopted. But when we release the content pack again, you will get some of those pre-built for you out of the box. So hopefully that also helps give some additional inspiration on how they can be used.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Isha. I will answer this last question as we go out the door because I just answered it in the chat and I want to make sure I add the emphasis here. But hey, we're getting asked, how do we correlate Cisco alerts with SolarWinds, and how are we going to create these alerts and tickets and using these content packs out of the box? What content packs are we going to use? You need the trifecta of these content packs. First, you need the content pack for monitoring, alerting, and ITSI, and that's just going to help, quickly elevate you with pre-built content insights to get these alerts set up quickly. And then you're going to also have our content pack for whether it's Thousand Eyes or content pack for enterprise networking for Catalyst Center and Meraki. And then you would also want to have the content pack for SolarWinds. So I know that's a lot of content packs, but really it comes from one Splunk-based app. and you're just this as a cross-domain visibility tool, you're going to be setting up your connection points, right? You hey, where am I connecting to? So that's all it is. It's just connecting this pre-built content pack for you to connect to. So once you have that, it's going to facilitate setting that up much quicker. Obviously, there's some things to fine tune within it to make it your own, but it should be saving a lot of time. So we are a couple minutes past the hour now. I would love to follow up with you all more with any other questions that you do have. We will be sharing back this content for you. Please reach out to us with anything else you do have, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for spending this afternoon with us.
Thank you all for joining. Bye.
Thank you.